Good evening, everyone. I want to call this meeting of Sebring City Council on Tuesday, April 16th to order. If you all stand with me, the mayor's going to lead us in a pledge and prayer.
Please bow with me if you wish. Lord, thank you once again for a wonderful day. Thank you for the city of Sebring, the place we live, for everything that's going on. And please watch over everybody as we do improvements and move around the town. We ask that you watch over our first responders as they're out there protecting us and guiding us and keeping us safe. We ask that you watch over city staff that is making the city what it is. We ask that you look over the council and give them the rights and the minds for making good and sound decisions. We ask that all we do in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Ms. Haley, can you call roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Shute.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here.
Avery.
Here.
Mendo.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Bishop.
Here. All right. Next, business from the audience. If anyone has someone they would like to talk about that is not on the agenda, you can fill out one of these forms on the front table
Elaine.
and hand it in to Ms. Haley, and she'll get it. We'll get to that at an appropriate time. Next up is mayor's report.
Just a couple things. If y'all have been to the Soda Fest, it was a huge event this year, so congrats to the Chamber. Tennille and her bunch have put that on. Just an outstanding event. It was very well done and it's kind of neat to see. It was very family oriented. There's, kids, big kids, little kids, moms and dads, grandma and grandpas. Everybody had a good time. So on top of that, we have Sipping on the Circle this weekend. So it's for the big kids primarily, but that should be the Rotary and the Art League are putting that on as a fundraiser. So that was a good event they did last year also. We also have on May 4th, the Bike Fest. The fire department puts us on an annual basis, fixes kids' bikes, gives them entertainment, and then also gives away some bikes and helmets. So they do an excellent job. It's on a Saturday morning. And we are, for those businesses out there and individuals that have helped us in the past, we're going to start fundraising again for our 4-H, for our July 4th fireworks. So that's the bill seems to keep going up. But last year's about a $25,000 bill to put that show on. So we'll be again asking our community to help us support and celebrate the birth of America. So, and that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Carlisle, do I understand it's your birthday today?
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm 39 and holding. Well, I just want to say our city's looking really good. HGTV and CRA has really improved downtown. The color that was an issue for the soda shop looks really nice to me. It's a nice color, so everything looks good downtown and what they're doing. So I'm happy to see it. Our town needs to keep growing. Even though some people don't want it to, it needs to. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Min.
Good evening. I also, too, would like to say a thanks to HGTV. They're doing a great job, and if you haven't been downtown, please come downtown and look. And, what Leonard said is right. There are some people that are grumbling a little bit about HGTV coming in, but it's wonderful publicity. They're doing a lot to freshen and beautify our downtown, and we're very, very grateful. And anybody that's had anything to do with the HGTV people, they've been most generous and kind and wonderful spirit to them, very cooperative, and we appreciate them. This last week, actually it was yesterday, I believe, I met with Steve Kramer, our Director of Public Works, and Miss Elsa Kahn down at the park. Ken Treaster, I believe the last name, the artist who did the park for the cons, and we discussed ways to fix it up. It has some issues, a little bit of maybe vandalism, wear and tear, I'm not sure. Tree needs to be perhaps removed and landscaping refurbished, so we are going to be working on that. Of course, we're very, very grateful to the Kahn family for the gift of that park to our city, and we want to take good care of it. So that was a wonderful afternoon spent.
All right, thank you. Josh?
No report. I did have a question. If Council President Roland Bishop is okay with it and Councilwoman Terry Mandel, I'm wondering if I could possibly swap Historic Preservation Committee liaison with Tourist Development Council.
Asking me.
Yeah. The only reason I've been involved with Casey working on a project from a septic to sewer at one of the ball fields, and I would like to see
Oh,
it
I don't
through.
mind that at all.
Okay.
Which one were you switching? I'm sorry.
HPC and TDC.
HPC.
So I'm
Historic-
switching to the Historic Preservation.
Oh, okay.
And I would be
I'm
on
sorry.
Tourist
I thought
Development.
you said something else. I apologize.
Preservation. And the tourist goes to Josh. Okay.
You good with that,
Yep,
Roland?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
That's it?
Mhm.
Harrison?
There's a big planning over the last 2 weeks. So we had Central Florida Regional Planning Council meeting last week in Hardee County, and that was excellent. And then the county had a mock planning commission last week as well. Just really cool to see how things happen behind the scenes with all the planning, all the work that goes into it. So I just have a different layer of appreciation for all the planners out there. It's a lot more detail than I thought going to that meeting. Just was really good to see. So thank you to all the planners.
Okay.
And I
Thank you.
have one more thing.
Okay.
Since we were talking about swapping, I've been thinking I would love to swap with Leonard. He's had longtime utilities, and I understand the interest of swapping us around so we get different experience. But I've been working with Steve Kramer on a lot of projects too, and I would love to stay on as the liaison to the Public Works and swap with you for utilities. And I love Bobby Bogus, nothing personal.
I don't have a problem with that, so.
Go for it. Okay. All right,
Oh, so what does that mean?
It's
Can we
done.
swap?
go for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, Ms. Haley?
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Okay, there's no old business. Moving on to new business. First up, we have Mr. John Cecil from the Military Sea Service Museum. He wants to tell us about his Memorial Day event.
I want to thank the council for allowing me to present this. In our background is the museum deeply appreciates the city of Sebring's past patriotic support for our observances of past Veterans Day, Pearl Harbor Day, Memorial Days, especially the 219 Memorial Day where we had Major General James E. Livingston of the Marine Corps, retired Vietnam awardee of the Medal of Honor. That was an exceptional time, and we appreciate everything the city did for us, awarding the key of the city to him and everything, and all the gratitude that you showed him. Our Memorial Day project is wish to inform the city of our plans to host another Memorial Day in site at 2 p.m. Monday, May 27, 2024. The ceremony is jointly sponsored by the Highlands County Veterans Council and the Military Sea Services Museum. Moreover, Mayor Shoup is invited to speak, as long as you don't talk about rain. And the council are cordially invited to attend. And we request the following: for Roseland Avenue closure between Kenilworth Boulevard and First Street from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Traffic cones, 2 flagmen ahead signs, 2 patrol cars with activated flashing lights on Kenilworth. We ask for 300 folding chairs, but whatever is available will be more than sufficient. We appreciate. I have to give you a number, so I chose 300. The museum will have 2 flagmen, hopefully, if everybody shows up. The support will be greatly appreciated and go a long way in making another memorable patriotic event. Our speaker for this year is Rear Admiral Richard, and I'm murder names, just ask Leonard. And, but Mr. I think it's Buchanan, U.S. Navy, is a decorated nuclear submarine Rear Admiral. So we appreciate it. We thank the council very much.
And we appreciate you and all your service, and it's been a wonderful event to go to. I've been blessed the last couple of years. Thank you.
Could be another one.
Amen. I make a motion that we accept or approve the request as presented.
Second?
All right. Ms. Haley?
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
Let's go
All right.
Army.
Again, I thank the council very
Yes.
much.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have the site plan for Parkway Trace Apartment Complex. It's going to be presented to us by Ms. Dana Riddell.
Good evening, and thank you, Town Council. Looks like Scott is pulling up my presentation. It might be scanned a little sideways, so we'll go ahead and breeze through it. What we're looking at tonight is a property on the corner of Beacon Ave and Panther Parkway. It's not quite on the corner because there is a little parcel that is not under my applicant's ownership. Oh, and I'm sorry, my name is Dana Riddell. I'm with Stonehenge Land Development Consultants. I am a private land development consultant. This particular parcel is approximately 19.83 acres. It doesn't have an address assigned quite yet. So on the first page, thank you. On the first page of this PowerPoint, you have a little conceptual image of what we're thinking of in terms of two-story apartment complexes. On the next slide, I have a little description of our vision, which would be approximately 240 unit apartment complex, which would entail 24 buildings, each of them being 2 stories, 10 units each. That would come out to 12 dwelling units per acre. We already have central water and sewer in the area due to the development to the north, so we would connect into that, and we would designate at least 2 parking spaces for each unit. The minimum living space for each unit would be between 1,200 square feet and 1,500 square feet. And we are also designating open space areas and a recreation/clubhouse area. We don't necessarily have the specifics hashed out yet. We wanted to make sure we actually came to Town Council and got a little bit of a blessing before we're actually able to proceed. The units would be approximately 1 to 3 bedroom units because we do want to meet that target market in our community for multifamily development where we are really lacking those 1 to 3 bedroom unit multifamily dwellings. And we're shooting for market rate housing. So as of right now, we're hoping for a price point between $1,200 per month to $2,200 per month. It's not a firm commitment in terms of that exact dollar amount. As construction proceeds, that will be refined a little bit further. But on this slide, you'll also see a conceptual layout. This is our layout in color. Everyone in their packets should have gotten a black and white conceptual layout. You'll see the retention areas all the way to the north. Later on in the slides, we'll look at the topography. But on the next slide, we'll go ahead and take a look at the existing future land use. So in this area, even though a lot of or at least a good portion of the lots along Panther Parkway have been annexed, they still retain county zoning and future land use. As noted in your agenda item summary, the medium density residential future land use for the surrounding parcels in the county allow 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre. But in the city of Sebring, the medium density residential future land use allows 5 to 12 dwelling units per acre. So it's not necessarily comparing apples to apples, but we are trying to shoot for something comparable. So we would be requesting the maximum, though, of 12 dwelling units per acre. On the next slide, you see that The parcel is currently zoned R1 with other residential uses surrounding. And to the north of our parcel, we have a mobile home park that's under construction, and I believe there will be an element of RV park to it. And I actually find this to be really exciting because if you think about it, less than 10 years ago, we didn't have the Panther Parkway actually constructed. So here we are at this really transitional point in the development of the city of Sebring. So we want to fill that niche, but again, we have a developer who is really open to taking any thoughts or suggestions because it is such a malleable point in time for this particular area. We want to make sure we're setting the tone for the Panther Parkway and development along the Panther Parkway. So just a personal aside that I'm really excited, and we'll see, where this goes. But on the next slide, we have the topography, which is what I was discussing earlier, that we have our retention poised for the north side of the property because the property slopes from south to north, the highest point being 142 feet and the lowest point being 128. On the next slide, I went ahead and just included a larger site plan in case we want to go back to it for discussion. But I'll skip over that because I want to be respectful of your time, and you all have that in your packets and a closer, bigger image in black and white. So just to clarify the process that we would be going through, we would be requesting a future land use change and a zoning change. The future land use change would be, again, to that medium density residential future land use city designation. And the zoning we'd be requesting would be city R3 PD. We want to make sure to make it a PD, so if there are any site-specific requests that we can honor that. And the whole process would include a development agreement, as the city of Sebring prefers development agreements in conjunction with their PDs. They happen shortly after. Then we'd go through the site plan review process, which is an administrative process approved by staff. And then we'd go through permitting, also an administrative process approved by staff. On the next slide is another visual of the concept that we'd be looking at. Again, 2 stories, nice visual interest, apartments up top and below. This doesn't necessarily show the entrances to the apartments up top, but there would be 2 apartment entrances. And you have our contact information in case there's any questions. But other than that, I wanted to just see if I could not take up too much of your time. I hope that wasn't too fast. But that is our request, and we wanted to understand if council had any other visions for that area before moving forward.
Okay. Any questions from council?
Dan, if you put a clubhouse in here, you use up a lot of the green space, the park space. I mean, it looks like there's only like an acre there, so if you did that, there's really no, I mean, you're gonna have, if there's that many units and they're 3-bedroom, you're gonna have families in there. So how are you gonna, I mean, you're gonna have, isn't there a requirement to have a certain amount of green space, park green space, not just retention? So.
Well, in the city of Sebring's land development regulations, they allow your retention to be considered as part of your green space or open space, but I think we also have like a just 10% recreation requirement. I'd have to go back and take another look at the land development regulations. We kind of battled back and forth with providing more green space and building up. Right now, we can fit 240 units with 2-story apartment complexes. But if there was a request, or for some reason we weren't able to meet the land development requirements for open space or recreation, we also would be willing to go up to 3-story apartment buildings. And I'm not sure how the town, city council feels about 3 stories in that area.
So Dana, so in other words, you're thinking that you want to stay with the 240 units number, and then if we needed more green space, then you would go up a story if you got approval.
Right, with approval.
And I have a question also. Do you have elevators, or are these all walk-ups?
Right now, they're slated for walk-ups. I believe you can go up to 3 stories in the state of Florida without requiring an elevator. Jeff, is that right? Correct.
That makes it awful hard, people moving in.
Yeah, we would definitely have some ADA compliant units on the ground floor. So there's another development coming in Willie Downs off Hammock Road, and I know they have some apartments poised for certain different kinds of disabilities. So some for the deaf, some for those that can't see very well. So I know we would definitely have some that are wheelchair accessible in this particular development. And depending on our target market, we could potentially add more ADA compliant units.
Even families with young children, you know, all you have to carry and going up and down stairs, that's, seems like there'd be more of a move to have elevators for the convenience of the tenants. I would think that'd be a very good idea myself. I know that's a very added expense, but I think it's important.
Thank you. That's good feedback for us to bring back to our developer.
It'd probably be really a nightmare with a design, because these are all single units. So if you put an elevator, would you put one with each unit, or would you have to make a hallway outside or inside?
Yeah, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, it seems like we'd have to do an elevator for each individual unit. I don't know if that will really be feasible for this particular development.
Well, a lot of hotels and all, they have elevators that go up, and then you have a walkway to the unit. So that's the way you solve that problem.
Like a second floor walkway.
Second floor or third floor walkway, the elevator takes you up, and then there's a walkway like they have in hotels or motels, I'm not sure what. But a way to do it, because that's really difficult. It's difficult for older people, it's difficult for families with little kids, it's difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just a thought.
Thank you. Well, definitely something to bring back to our applicant.
Dana, how long is the developer going to be in this process? Are they going to be the ones who are actually renting out the units potentially as well and sticking with it, or are they just going to develop it and then sell it?
They haven't made that commitment one way or the other yet. Right now, it's just very preliminary, seeing if this is even feasible. And they're open to developing the project, but I haven't talked to them about management of the project. I would think that they would likely sell it to someone else.
Okay, so you've seen that in the past working with this company?
Correct.
Okay.
So my feedback, I think we have a dire need for multifamily, and I'm on board with this. What's our regulations for height right now? Is it 3 stories, or is it 30 feet? Or is it both? 35? 45?
45.
So 3 stories would still be within our typical regulations. I'd be fine with 3 stories too, if it helped you get more recreation area and or a clubhouse.
I think the recreation area is important, especially if you have families in here.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's no sidewalks really either, you know.
Yeah.
But
There's no good way
if
to
you
get
had
to
a-
our parks.
if you had a park or something like that, because that's out in the middle of nowhere too.
Internal sidewalks, or are you thinking a sidewalk along Panther or Beacon? Or both?
You know, sidewalks always nice to have, and internal would be nice, but I don't think you'd fit what you have in there. But
Yeah.
and it's kind of a closed thing, but I just think with families and that stuff, the green space to me is more, or the recreation space is more important, so.
So I'll comment on the sidewalk along Panther or Beacon. That may be dictated by the county.
That's
Probably
true.
will be.
That's true. Yep.
What she was talking about, the hallway or whatever along there, that's the way Majestic Cove is built. Elevator, and each floor has a walk to the rooms.
Majestic Cove is a beautiful development, absolutely.
I think you'd be asking them to build 24 elevators. If
Yeah,
we-
well,
they
no,
did that.
they have,
These are 24 separate buildings. right
no,
now.
there's only one elevator that goes up and you walk the hallway.
I know, but their development that they're
Right,
proposing has 24
Right,
separate
but
buildings.
if she does what Ms. Liddell ask about.
I guess it would depend on, I mean, there didn't have floor plan design here, but it would depend on if the unit itself is 2 stories or if there's one downstairs and one upstairs.
Yeah,
Right. So,
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
If the
they're
actual
townhouses or
unit
not,
is 2 stories, the elevator conversation is
doesn't
out the
matter.
window.
Right.
Well, we definitely need more housing, so I know I would like to work with them on this.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the public? Yes.
Christopher Tuffley, Sebring. The only thing that I would hope that you would consider is that these are going to be going for a premium rent. And when there are questions about green space and there are questions about elevators, if you're going to be asking a premium rate, it just seems to me that you should have, a premium space. And this is, it's in the right direction. It's a heck of a lot better than a mobile home park. And I like all the trees. But I just think it needs to be thought out more, especially in view of elevators and, and what you get for your money. Thank you.
Dana, obviously you've done some form of a study on rent averages in the county. Where does this fall on the scale of?
What we're proposing right now is market rate and even a little bit under. We're
Okay.
really trying to meet the needs of our community with this, but not necessarily do affordable housing or low-income housing. This is strictly market rate and also not trying to encroach above that into luxury housing. So we are really trying to be mindful of our dollars moving forward.
Okay.
I think that you'll find there's not a lot of a 1,200 square foot minimum at $1,200 a month in Highlands County.
These are pretty big apartments.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of our inspirations is Highlands Cove down in Lake Placid, and that's where some of these images come from. And it is a little bit of what you mentioned, where some of them do have a bit of a townhouse approach, where it is 1 unit but 2 stories, and then right next door you could have a unit up top and a unit below. So we're trying to do basically a little bit of combination of everything and just seeing how we can meet those needs. But the numbers on the actual rental, like I said, I really can't commit to those. We want market and we want to come in a little bit under market rate. But it's not like a firm commitment in terms of the actual number. So I just want to be clear on that.
Okay. All right. What's your flavor?
I mean, I guess
It's just a motion, or do you just want them to say we're on board?
just a conceptual
Yeah, no
idea.
motion needed.
You don't need to have a motion, you can
Okay.
just provide comments.
Right.
They come back with some more information.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You're asking us if you should proceed with a PD, basically,
Sounds
right?
good to
If you,
me.
if you have heartburn, let her know. So.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Yeah. Me too.
All right.
No heartburn.
Everyone's on board?
Thank you all, and it was good to see you all tonight.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time.
Good to have you back.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, business from the audience. We have one for Miss Elaine Daff. She wants to ask us about a crosswalk at Kenilworth and Persimmon Avenue.
Hi, Elaine Daff. I'm a resident of the city of Sebring. This is my 3rd time asking about this topic. I think the first time Chief Detman was on the council. Trying to see if there's a need. I feel there's a need for a crosswalk at the intersection of Persimmon and Kenilworth Boulevard. Now that the Persimmon Commons is done, and I've seen young families and young students trying to hop across there. The only crosswalks are down by the high school and down by Dimitri's. And then the north side of Kenilworth there's no sidewalk because the sidewalk isn't even continuous. So I did email Scott, and Scott emailed me back July 3rd of 2023 saying, Elaine, I have spoken with J.D. Langford, the county engineer, and he requested that we give him a week to look into it. Kenilworth is a county-maintained road and would need county permission. Thanks, Scott. I'm just here to find out what's going on. I haven't heard from you, from I don't know J.D. Langford.
So he's the county engineer, and have spoken to him. I've spoken to him 2 or 3 times about it. They ultimately make the decision, put the funds aside in order to make that happen.
Did he say whether or not he sees a need for it, or?
I think he sees a need for it. I think, and I would have the discussion with him, but I think there's a concern about how it would get accomplished just situationally on that intersection.
Okay. So does it just?
So, just, to point, I'm not saying we don't need one there, but there is a sidewalk on both sides of Kenilworth. So, I mean,
No,
there
there's
is
not.
No,
It
when you
ends
get
after the high
past
school.
that intersection.
Yeah.
Down by
there's
that,
stores and
is
stuff.
it St.
Go
Camilla,
towards
the
Kenilworth.
nursing home, and then
There you
the
go.
Christian
Head to the
school?
lake, then
It
there's not on the other
disappears. There's no
side.
sidewalk.
Right. But on the south side of Kenilworth,
Right.
there is a sidewalk.
but I was just
Right, but
thinking
on
with-
the north side,
With the high school kids and the fair and the football games, I just think it would be safer. I've seen young families try
I
to
don't
cross
disagree
and-
with what you're saying, but
Okay.
to get to both of those places, they could walk down the sidewalk on the south side of Kenilworth and then cross at the Parkway in Kenilworth.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not shooting you down, I'm just stating that there are other means of
But I'd
egress.
still like to know what Mr. Stanford,
Langford.
Langford.
I'd still like to know what he thinks about it, since
Okay.
they're in charge of the maintenance
Absolutely.
and you all aren't.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have city attorney's business.
Agenda item 12A is a proposed settlement agreement and release between the city of Sebring and the owners of the Sebring Village and Woodhaven Estate Mobile Home Parks. It has been
Yep.
signed by the other parties and then being proposed by staff as a favorable resolution to the balance of this litigation.
Okay. Anybody have any discussion on this topic? Okay. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve settlement agreement and release as presented and authorize Roland Bishop, council president, to execute.
I'll second it.
I'll be quiet.
I have a motion by Mr. Stewart, second by Mr. Harrison. Go ahead.
Carlisle.
yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Okay, next up is city administrator.
Good evening, council. Agenda item 13A is a budget amendment for the Max Long restrooms. The staff is recommending interconnection with the city sewer system. Currently, it is a septic system. The drainage field has failed. We estimate the cost of interconnecting with the city sewer system to be a little over $20,000, plus materials, which is $5,000. We learned yesterday that we may also want to install a water meter to meter the flow of water, which might be an extra $3,000 as well. That way they can measure the sewer on the back end with the associated reading of meter on the front end, if you will. We did receive a quote for $7,100 for a drain field, but it would be our recommendation that we just go ahead and connect these restrooms to city sewer. It may also give us the opportunity in the future to expand and pipe that sewage into the city sewer system.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
What are you gonna do with that catch basin that's on the YMCA portion?
So it's not going there, it's going to our own manhole. So it's not going,
So it's not,
there was an original design that was thought that would take it to the YMCA lift
Okay.
station. That is not
Okay.
the case here.
okay.
So we're taking it to our own
You coming back out
gravity
to,
manhole, if you
are you
will.
coming back out to Westminster? You don't know.
Bob, could you speak to that?
Mayor, what we're doing is going north to, I think it's is it Gulfview, or it's in the subdivision right there next to the YMCA.
Right.
But there's a manhole right there that we think we can get into. That way we're not double pumping. We don't want to load YMCA any more than what it already is, too.
Right. Because it
So-
services other concession stands.
It's the concession stand and the east bathrooms, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. So there's, so what Scott's saying, $5,000, that's for the pipe that's necessary to get it all routed to that location.
Okay.
But
Okay.
seems to be the best way to go.
Anybody else?
On one side of that first house?
Yes, sir, it's right in there in that general area.
That's where that other
Yes, sir.
line goes in.
We may have to get into the road just a bit to get into the manhole, but, that's something we have to do occasionally.
That's where the YMCA line goes.
That's
back
where,
into.
that's where their force main comes, yes, that's correct.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Any questions from the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve budget amendment number 59 and staff recommendation to interconnect restrooms attached to the playground of Maclong Complex and city sewer system as presented.
Second?
All right, Ms. Haley?
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Just one, I'll have one more question for you, Scott, on the trees around the circle. Where do are those coming down soon, or?
Have not had the discussion with Steve about when he's gonna take those down.
We have a lot of road closures coming up
Right.
in the next couple weeks.
Right.
If we could schedule it around one of them, that would be
I'll
convenient.
I'll discuss it with Steve and see how we can accommodate that.
Okay.
I know his crews, it may be something we sub out.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Next, Ms. Haley.
Trustee Smith, paying the bills, please.
So moved.
Second.
I heard two first. Is the one going to be first and the one will be second? Avery first.
I pay the bills, Leonard.
Huh?
You know that. You know I pay the bills.
Oh, well, then I second his payment of the bill.
All right. Poll the board.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. All right.